Hey y'all, hey, we're back. It's us and it's Friday. Welcome back to another episode of Queens of the Ring with my good sister BOXIANA.
Hey friend, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. I'm very excited. Because we have been promoting that we're going to be doing, a little madness for March. And so today we have a very special guest that is joining us, Boxing Insider. Very special guest.
The Boxing Insider.
Y'all, welcome to the Queens of the Ring Friday night special, Mr. Boxing Scene's own Jake Donavan. Hey, Jake.
What's up, man? That intro, man. I got a lot to live up to now.
The voice of the people.
I appreciate it. I appreciate that. Thank you.
We are so happy to have you with us.
Thank you, Nikki. I appreciate it. Looking forward to this on this lovely Friday night.
Listen, Jake, I'm loving the accent. What part of the East Coast are you from?
I'm born and raised in New York, so I live outside of Nashville now, but still have the accent, still have my New York phone number. So.
Okay. How long you been in Nashville?
Since 2004.
Oh, it's been a while.
Yeah, 18 years.
None of the Southern drawl has...
No, definitely not. No. We refuse that.
Because he sure ain't picked up none of that country, nothing.
No.
Nothing. None of it.
I listen to people down here. I'm like, how the hell do you guys understand each other? It's maddening. But then they say the same thing to me. So
exactly. Anytime I'm in New York, I'm like, huh? What's that? Say it again? Okay.
Slow that down.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, listen. So I'm assuming you've watched an episode or two of the show.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so we kind of fly by the seat of our pants on this show. Let me first start before we jump all the way in. Let me shout out to some of the people who are in here early. Mr. Pablo Escobar. Hey, KQKC. Excellent interview today. I saw it. Hey, Harvey. Listen, for all of you who are inquiring, we finally hit our 4K mark. We finally have over, our 1K subscribers. So I did get the email today about monetization. And right now we are just in the process. We're waiting. We're in a holding period. So hopefully next Friday, y'all can super chat y'all asses off because we waiting on it. Okay. We are waiting on it. Listen, 88 Sports Talk, D21519. Hey, Kizzy Hayes, Chef Boya D. BOXIANA, I see you in here answering questions. And Miss Nurse Lee, how you doing? Hey mommy. Hey, mommy. Jason Williams, and who else? Scants Rants, and who is it? Y'all excuse me, I don't have my readers on.
Look, okay, because you see I had to come down and split with you.
Right. Who is that? PGH Big Dog. Hey, PGH Big Dog. And who else? The Boxing Selection, TBS, Anton Porch. All of you guys, come on in. Get you a seat. Come on in the room. We're about to get into some nice boxing talk. Get a little insider information, if we can, from Jake.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to... Oh, no. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Start it out.
No, because I said I wasn't going to cut up this week because it's going to have company.
Jake is like family. You can cut up.
Okay, Jake, I got a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Mr. Rios was in an accident last week. What you hear? Have you heard anything about him and his recovery?
I was in San Diego when that story broke, and then someone else jumped on it. I hate to admit it, like I didn't really get to follow up on it. I've heard that he's recovering from it, but it sounded awful. I mean, just cooking a dish and then for something to blow up like that was just awful, man. It was an awful story to read.
You're really nice. You're so sweet. Because I want to know what really happened, because they said he was going to make a whole recovery. And apparently people been like getting away out of hand with their injuries lately.
Yeah, I know. That's been a really hot topic lately.
A very hot topic. Let us discuss, Jake. So there's this ring announcer who was in a horrific crash, so they say, a couple of months ago in your neck of the woods up on the East Coast.
Yep.
And miraculously, he's made like 1,000% recovery. He was back in the ring, no crutches, no walkers, no canes, had his locks down, looking luxurious and normal. Have you heard anything about this miraculous recovery or the accident itself?
So what I can confirm, I looked at it because I saw all the stuff that was on Twitter this morning, and I'm like, here we go. So the original story, for those of you who know, Thomas Hauser wrote the original story, and it ran on Boxing Scene. So I am kind of limited in what I can say and what I can't say. Okay. Even saying that the story is 100% true, I'm not going to say that. But I can't say that either. But I can confirm he was in the hospital. I can confirm he did injure his spine. How he got there and how he recovered, I'm still not there yet. So that's where I'm left with that. It's a tough one. I'm going to say if it's not real, it's a very, very shitty thing to do, especially with everything going on.
Okay.
If it is real, then he's gonna have a lot to say about it, for all the people who are questioning. But it's a tough one because it's one of those things. Like initially, you feel bad for not believing it, and now we're at the point like you're almost like the bad guy if you do believe it. So.
Very sticky situation.
Yes, it is.
Well, at least it wasn't beans, you guys. It could have been beans. Yeah,
exactly. So I will. Maybe it's cruel. I am getting a kick out of a lot of the memes I'm seeing on Twitter, though, and I hate that I can't like any of them. But I gotta be a professional.
Doesn't that suck sometimes? Being a professional.
Is that hard to do? Like, I wanted to ask that. Is that really hard to do?
I have to like ask people to like it for me and promote it because I can't. I just I slide into DMs like, hey, can you like this one for me? So I just get a kick out of it, but I know I'll get in trouble if I respond to it, and I have gotten in trouble in the past. So.
Okay. We don't want to get you in.
No, that's fine. I knew that subject would come up. I didn't want to avoid it altogether, though.
Okay.
It is. I know your audience wants to discuss it too. So a lot of people have something to say about it.
Yeah.
You were working tonight. Who were you covering tonight?
It was a Pro Bellum card in Canada. It ended perfectly. It ended like 20 minutes ago. So.
Oh, great.
Like, good. No interruptions. I was worried I was going to be on here. Then, oh shit, I got to jump off on the main event. But it's perfect. I got the whole night. So, yeah.
Good. So, okay, listen.
I'm not going to say get to bed, but.
So glad you said Pro Bellum. So they're fairly new, or is that just me, or am I just now hearing about it?
No, they just came out last year. Yeah, the Richard Schaefer started up the company, so that's another thing with a lot of speculation. Who's funding it? Why are all these MTK guys going there if they're not MTK? So, but yeah, Richard Schaefer is just trying to spread his brand across the world. So.
Okay, it looks like he's putting on decent cards. He'll be in Dubai next week or week after next?
Next weekend, yes, Sonny Edwards.
Yeah. Next weekend, they'll be in Dubai. And do we have any kind of confirmation? Because I know there's been rumblings that somebody named Mr. Crawford may be signing over there too.
He did. Well, I could see that path because it does seem like a lot of the guys that signed with MTK or signed with Daniel Kinahan, they're winding up a Pro Bellum. That's no secret. So Terence Crawford is going to need a promoter because as great of a fighter as he is, like let's say he wants to fight Errol Spence. I know people are sick to death of talking about it. He has no ammunition right now. He has the WBO belt. Errol Spence is about to get a third belt. I'm going to predict that he's going to beat Yordenis Ugas next month. He is the bigger star in the sport right now. He has a major platform behind him. Terence Crawford is going to need leverage at some point. Even if it's not Crawford, whatever move he wants to make next, he's going to need leverage because everyone else he's going to want to face has that leverage right now.
Correct. Okay. So the likelihood of him just being a solo, just the way they say it, a free agent is very unlikely. At some point, he's going to have to sign with somebody.
Exactly. I can't say. And even like Eddie Hearn said, like who, would seemingly want to sign, a top fighter like Crawford. He has nothing for him. It's like the only pathway he can get to him is Conor Ben, and how long is that going to last? So
not very.
And Terence Crawford ain't cheap either. I mean, he was making, I know he's suing Top Rank for, what he feels like is more money owed, but he was still making good money before that. Not saying he's not owed the money that, Top Rank should have given him according to the contract, but he's a high priced talent. So he's not someone that someone's going to empty the vault for.
Correct. Okay. BOXIANA, you got anything else for Jake specifically?
I mean, look, no, I'm not going to add. Well, not specifically. There was a fight announced. Well, speculation fight that's been going around with Charlo. Well, I'll ask that later. We'll come back to that because I know you want to ask that too, friend. Are you coming to Spence versus Ugas or Ugas? Are you covering that?
I'm going. I don't know if I'm going as a fan or I'm covering it, but I'm going in some capacity. I am not missing that fight. So, yeah, any chance I get to go to Dallas, I'm definitely going. So.
Oh, you like Dallas?
I love Dallas.
Do you now?
Yes, I do. I love Dallas. I'm going to San Antonio next month too. We keep talking about moving to Texas, so I'm trying to figure out which part to move to. Yep.
You should do it.
Austin. Go to Austin.
That's definitely very much on my mind. So maybe when I'm in San Antonio, I'll take a trip up to Austin real quick and see.
Good. That's like 2 hours away.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Austin is the very much place to live if you have to live somewhere.
Yeah.
That's definitely it.
Yeah. Go to Austin. We're crowded here in Houston. So.
I got you.
Yeah. Okay. So listen, there was some news, this week, as there always is. There's always hot topics and good stuff coming out during the boxing week. So one of the stories that I wanted to talk about was the Jamel Charlo interview with Mr. Custer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Friend, did you get a chance to see that?
I did see that. That was a sight to see. Boxing needed a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting. Very insightful. Now, Jake, we here at Queens of the Ring on Friday, we have specific feelings about Charlo. Yep. But starting this year, I said I was going to keep an open mind and give everybody a clean slate, and all of those unsavory feelings that I may have had previously, I was going to drop them and let this be a new year, start a new season.
Right.
And I have to say, it was a very entertaining interview, and I did not cringe as much as I normally cringe when he speaks to the press.
Yes.
I don't know if he's gotten coached up or because he still was himself, he was his normal self, but he was not as unhinged as he typically is. So I was really pleasantly surprised with the interview. I like a little spice here and there. This is boxing, so I like a little shit talking every now and then. Exactly. But it wasn't over the top, and it was specific to folks that he should be shit talking.
Yes.
100%.
Right. So how did you feel about that? I mean,
I dug it. People act like, he was all over the place, he was rambling. Now, the first, I got a kick. Brian Custer asked his first question. 8 minutes later, he asked his next question. But everything Jamel said somehow tied to the question that he was asked, because he started slamming drug testing. He started slamming Castaño. He slammed Castaño's manager. He slammed Tony Harrison. But it all had to do with having to wait on that rematch getting rescheduled.
Correct.
And all his reasons why. So I'm not going to say I agree with all of them, but he touched on a lot of very interesting points. And I give him credit. He will address a lot of topics that honestly a lot of PBC fighters won't. Like a lot of guys feel like they just have to kind of toe that line. Jamel will speak his mind. I will give him a lot of credit for that, especially on drug testing, because he is a guy who always wants drug testing and always does drug testing for every single fight. So I get why he would be annoyed at the lack of drug testing in his last fight, which I can't confirm. There was only 1 week of random drug testing for that fight, which that should be standard for any fight. I mean, you show up at fight week, you should be drug tested. So I get why he's pissed off. So
I do too.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought it was a great interview. I didn't think it definitely wasn't over the top by his own standards. It wasn't even the most over the top Brian Custer interview. So
Brian didn't really have to say much.
No, he didn't. He just wanted, here's a question, and Jamel just went off. And it was controlled, though. It was like, if it was a fight, it was controlled aggression.
It controlled aggression.
Yep.
Controlled aggression. Friend, how did you feel about the interview?
I mean, you know me. I like to hear the drama and the fold. Like, he did a thing. I mean, boxing needs that kind of WrestleMania right now. You know what I'm saying? Because it's boring, but he put some little excitement in the timeline, and he gave us a thought of a fight. You know what I'm saying? We've all been talking about Bud moving up to 154 and having a fight there. Mel and Bud would be a decent fight, like Spence and Crawford was at peak time. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's still a good fight, but I'm getting bored with arguing with Bud fans about when this fight is going to happen. And your guy is scared. No, your guy is scared. Nobody's scared. Nobody's just fighting. So if we have to, 154, Bud and Mel. I mean, that was cool for me. But the interview was good. Like y'all said, controlled aggression. Like, he did a thing. I was very surprised to see him acting the way he did. Like, I like Nik said, I don't know what's been happening, but it was good to see. I feel like that was old Mel back. You know what I'm saying? Not this new rich man. Not Mega Mel. I don't know him. Not Mega Mel. Old Mel. It was good to see old Mel back with his shit talking in a petty manner. I love to see it. So,
but relevant though. But relevant.
Yes.
Yeah, it was relevant. That's why I didn't mind it. And so I like this question that Mr. Cecil Robinson asked: why do fighters feel they always have to toe the line? And I'm gonna answer it from my perspective, Mr. Cecil. So they are fighters, they are gladiators, they are boxers, they are in the ring. But in all honesty and actuality, they are also selling themselves as a product. And when you sell yourself as a product, you have an audience. Now you get to decide who your target audience is going to be as a boxer, you know? And so I think they toe the line because they don't want to necessarily piss anybody off to the extreme that they don't come back as a fan. So that's why they toe the line. And it's also a job. So there is a level of professionalism and respectability that you want to have. Even though you're a fighter, that's your profession, it's still a profession to have. And you can't not just be out you just can't be out willy-nilly with no drawers on. You can't be free balling around here like that. I mean, you can, but you have consequences when you do that. Right. So, you know, that's my perspective. How you feel about that, BOXIANA?
You're right. I agree with you. I agree with you wholeheartedly. Jake?
Yeah, no, it's all excellent points. Yeah, you know, I mean, you touched on it too. It's like, you know, it's a job, you have a boss. You know, you start saying things and you keep getting those phone calls. Eventually you want to do something to stop getting those phone calls. So
right.
I think with Jamel and Jamal both, they have a chance to kind of become, I'm not going to say the face of PBC, but like Showtime's about to announce their schedule on Tuesday. We're going to see, it's going to be a loaded schedule, and they're in my opinion, the two most significant fights on that schedule. So that comes with a lot of responsibility. Exactly. So, and I think they see it, you know, especially Jamel, if he corrects a couple of things that he did, because I'll be honest, I thought he lost the Castano fight. I had it close. It was 115, 113 on my card. I was fine with the draw. I didn't think it was a runaway win for Castano. But I also think it was, you know, the adjustments that Derek James had Jamel make in the later rounds of the fight. If he can get a little earlier, you know, do that a little earlier against Castano, I think this is his fight to win and really, you know, take his career to the next level. That's what I'm kind of looking for, man. I believe he sees that as well. So obviously they both think that, you know, the two greatest fighters in the world. But now I do see some, you know, as far as like the way they're trying to handle themselves, some responsibility. Jamal got to, you know, headline the Juneteenth show last year. They're hoping to do the same thing this year, make that a tradition for him. So I think, you know, I think that's amazing for him. And, you know, and hopefully they realize, you know, how to handle that responsibly.
Absolutely. I agree. And like you said, he really, specifically Mel, he has the opportunity, like you said, fighting Castano, to be undisputed. The only he'd be the 7th if he does it, if he gets it done.
Yep. 7th male boxer.
Yeah, he'll be the 7th
one for junior middleweight. Yep.
That's huge. That is huge. That's huge, and it's a big responsibility. So I'm pulling for him. I hope he gets it done. I was a fan of the interview. I love the energy.
Yeah,
he was still himself, but he wasn't completely unhinged, and I can appreciate that. That, and I hope he listens to his trainer come the next fight.
Absolutely.
I hope he does that. So there's another fight that's been announced. Well, not quite announced. Rumblings. You know, there's always rumblings in boxing. Yeah. So there's rumblings that another Charlo is going to be fighting Mr. Munguia.
Yeah.
We've been waiting. I've been waiting for Jaime to fight some goddamn body. I've been waiting. You know, I like the Rosado fight. It was great. Cool. But I need you to fight somebody.
Yes.
So looks like Jaime's going to finally be fighting somebody.
Right.
How excited are you about that?
Very much so. Look, I've always been a big Jaime Munguia fan, but even I've gotten to the point like, what is next? And I know the zone had to be there with him too. It's like, if he didn't take this fight, and he hasn't accepted it yet, but it's my understanding is it's very close.
Right.
But if he doesn't take this fight with Charlo, the zone is not going to be like, okay, you're not going to fight another Demetrius Battle type. You're not going to fight another Gabe Rosado. You're not going to fight another Spike O'Sullivan. The well's going to run dry. So they tried to play some games. I think, and I understand they want to get as much money as they can out of, fighting Jamal Charlo, because there's a very good chance he could lose. A lot of people seem to be picking him to win, but this could be the first loss of his career. They were trying to go back to the zone and see how much they could give for the Janibek fight. And they were telling both sides, we're taking your fight, we're not going to take the other fight. So that's why all this is taking so long. This has been going on for like 3 weeks. And I've been sitting on the story for like 2.5 weeks. And like,
how do you do that? How do you do that?
I just kept playing, I would hear one version, like, okay, this sounds good. Let me go hear the other side. Then I got a completely different story. Being in San Diego last week, I got to talk to a few key people. There was one guy that's in Munguia's camp, but not quite the guy who calls the shots, but he was able to give me a little bit of insight, just talking to the zone people. Like, they kind of gave me their perspective on what they thought of a Janibek fight. So like the Charlo fight was the only one that makes sense. He was never going to make that money to fight Janibek or to stay on the zone. So
right.
They knew it had to be one or the other, because if he passed on Charlo, he would have to fight Janibek in order to fight for the WBO title. If he didn't fight him, he just doesn't have an opponent, because there's not a lot of good middleweights out there.
Right. No more ducking.
I mean, Jamal has learned that the hard way. He's been trying to fight guys, but his career has just not been that spectacular since he's moved up to middleweight. So yep. I absolutely love this fight. I think this might even be better than Charlo Castaño. Call me crazy, but I think this has the potential to be a better fight.
Listen, I'm in agreement with you on that. I think this is, if not top, not neck and neck with it, it may be even better. I think I agree with you on that, because at this point, they both have much, I don't want to say a lot to prove, but this is a huge fight. It's a huge, somebody's is going to have to go. That's going to be a huge fight. I'm very excited for it. And I don't think with the styles of both of those guys, it's gonna be, man, lights out. Somebody's lights are getting turned out.
Yeah, that's like, you hate to say like fight of the year and can't miss. I hate using those terms, because when you do, that's usually when it does. But it's like, I'm with you. It's like Jamal loves to bring it. Jaime only really has one,
style, right?
Yeah, he's not going to fight a defensive fight. So plus he's been far more active too. That's why I'm not going to say I like his chances outright, but I mean, this is literally going to be Jamal's first fight in 52 weeks. The last time he fought is on Juneteenth last year. So
you
can't keep getting away with fighting just once a year. It's going to catch up to you at some point.
Absolutely. I agree. How you feel about that, BOXIANA?
I feel the same way y'all feel. I might have to be in the house for that one as well. There's a few fights that I would like to sit in on for a few reasons. That's one of them. I want to know who y'all got in that fight.
Is this going to be in Houston? Oh, this is going to be in Houston, right? You said another June?
That should come out on Tuesday. The idea, they want to keep that tradition going. So the idea would be to put it, and it's a perfect storm, because Jamal, he has his hometown base. Mexicans going to come out to go see Munguia there. So
absolutely.
I think it'll be even a far bigger event than what was the case last year.
Yeah. And I was at that fight last year, his Juneteenth fight in Houston. And he brought out a very good crowd. He brought out a really nice crowd. So him fighting Munguia in Houston with the large Hispanic base that's here is going to be phenomenal. I can't wait. And BOXIANA, as far as who wins that fight, I'm a little torn. I think it's really, really a tight fight, precisely because of what Jake said. Inactivity is not a good thing.
Yeah.
Inactivity is not a good thing. That's what makes me nervous, even more so about anything. That's the biggest concern I have about Ugas and Spence, if I'm being honest, is the inactivity. So Jaime's been active. I mean, it's not against the best opponents, but I mean, still, he's been active. So that's going to play a major part. I'm gonna put my big girl drawers on and I'm gonna pick Charlo, but I'm not really like standing on 10 toes. I got like 9.5 toes down on it.
How many? How many you got?
9.5. Like, you know, the 2 toes that Dion had amputated, 2 of my toes are not secure, but
turn it off. Turn it off. Turn it off. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Okay, Jake, who you got?
Ooh, oh man. I will say the one thing I didn't like about Munguia's last fight was just the way he looked even after the weigh-in. And that's, you know, as much as inactivity can catch up to you, so can boiling down to a weight that is a natural. 160 should be natural for him, but it seems like, you know, he is young. It seems like he's already starting to outgrow the division. So, like, even if he makes it good for this fight, it's like, how much longer is he going to stick around? So if that's a factor, then Jamel could piece him up very easily. But on paper, Jamel is the more skilled fighter. He should win a decision. But I mean, I like the fact that, Nick, that you're so torn over. I mean, because that's what we should want in a fight like this. We shouldn't be like, oh, you know, Jamal's going to smoke him.
Right.
So that we should be like, damn, who the hell's going to win this fight?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
My turn. I'm going to go against the grain. My betting soul is telling me that Munguia is going to beat him because of how he looks against Montiel. But I know where my money is going, and I'm going to be a rich bitch because the odds always work in my favor.
Right.
I'm going Munguia only because, and now if he goes and he gets himself together, actually take this camp really, really serious, we might have some real deal Holyfield. Yeah. But if he chooses not to, and we get the same maul we got in that last fight, Munguia in like 10, or it might be a decision.
Munguia
in your face all night.
He is. Unless you keep him out of it.
Right. Yep.
Which can possibly happen. You know, that can happen too. So I like it though, because it is an interesting fight and it's not like so one-sided that, you know, we can just easily call it. So I do like that. Thank y'all coming on in. I see you coming on in. I see y'all coming on in the room. Come on in. Come on in. Y'all don't have my glasses on. And so I'm not finna squint in this camera and call everybody's name, but I do appreciate y'all coming on in. Share it. Tell your friends to come on in. We got special guests. You know, we talking good stuff up in here with Jake.
Indeed.
So
speaking of good stuff,
go ahead.
I got a question. So I seen some chatter today. It was real WE-ish because everything that he does is really WWE-ish. Keith Thurman's little brother, Blair LaFleur. What y'all think about him?
I interviewed him. So I interviewed him 2 days ago, and I interviewed his opponent, Alexis Roca, today. And like, I had to tell Alexis, I said, look, Blair told me like every interview it's going to be the same. He told me some absolutely batshit crazy stuff. So you're going to have to bring it, you know? Like, here's what he said about, and like, he wouldn't deny it. He's like, oh yeah, that really did happen. I'm like, come on, man, you got to give me something, man. It's like, cause you might win the fight, but he's winning the press conference so far, you know? Yeah, he knows. Yeah, he knows how to get people to pay attention to him. I don't know what his ceiling is. I think we're looking at his ceiling as a fighter. I'm not sure he's getting any better, but
I mean, he's 32.
That man's confidence is second to none, though. You got to give it to him, man. That takes you a long way in this sport.
It does, because you can talk yourself into a W if your opponent is weak. You really can. If your opponent is mentally weak, you can talk yourself into a W.
Exactly. He is not as bad as people make him out to be, but let's be very, very clear. He is not going to smoke Boots Ennis. Let's not even go there. There's a whole list of fighters where like this is your level. Like just
exactly.
There's nothing wrong with being a fun undercard fighter. So I know he doesn't want to accept that. He wants to be the main event, maybe even making the main event on like a smaller show, but you know, there's a role for a guy like him. So if he can find it, you know, he could have a successful career. He could be a nice ticket seller, you know, drive ratings on the Zone or whatever, and just make a career out of that. Don't go chasing Boots. Don't go chasing Terence Crawford. Don't go chasing Arrow. You know your limits.
It does. WrestleMania is in like 4 weeks. They can employ him fast. Like he already popular. They know who he is.
How do you make those kind of claims and bold statements at 32 with 15 fights? The math ain't mathing.
Yeah, facts. I don't know. How do you sit in? How do you do these interviews with a straight face? I know, like, professionalism is a thing, but like, I know you interact with a lot of different people. Like, how do you manage to like keep your professionalism? Because it's out the window for me.
Yeah, I mean, with a guy like Blair, I mean, I know going in, I'm like, he's gonna tell me he's gonna do this to Keith Thurman, and he's gonna, whatever, roll Jaron Ennis up in a rug and just toss him in the chair. I know he's gonna say some stupid shit like that, and it usually is not that far off. So you kind of brace yourself for that moment. Like, I will admit, like, I've known Keith Thurman since the amateurs. Like, even like when I interview him now, I still don't know what to expect when he says.
Wow.
Like, and he'll say some shit, and like I just got to play it off. Like, is he serious? Like, well, I ain't fought in 2 years, so now I'm going to fight 3 times or 4 times this year. I'm like,
right. The mad thing, Keith.
Yeah, I want to believe you, but
yeah. He is a very intriguing character. I'll give him that. I'll give him that, and he doesn't fight too shabby either.
Yeah, no, he is entertaining. Yeah, he's had a couple of misses, but his last fight was smoking, so he just hasn't fought since June.
Yeah. They're levels. Yeah, Blair. Levels.
Exactly.
Yeah. So there was Jaime and Charlo, and then I heard now this person, I like this person. I think BOXIANA likes this gentleman as well. I'm talking about Mr. David Benavidez. He has a fight coming up with Lemieux.
Yes.
But it seems like there's some rumblings going on yet again under the surface that, if he's successful against Mr. Lemieux, there's a chance that in September he's calling for and asking for a showdown with Mr. Plant.
Yeah.
I would love to see that. I like them both.
Yep.
I like them both equally. So I'm completely torn in that fight. How probable is it that we see that, considering they both do have the same promotional company?
So oddly enough, and up until a year ago, I've had the much closer relationship with Caleb Plant. I've not heard from him in the longest time. And it's not a fight where I can go and ask him, hey, is this for real? But like from the Benavidez side, they absolutely believe that fight is going to happen in September. It's not a done deal. Hold on, like not by any stretch. But according to them, they are in negotiation with Caleb Plant's camp. And that is the fight they absolutely want next. And crazy enough, so last week when I was in San Diego for the Chocolatito Julio Cesar Martinez fight,
excellent
fight. Yeah, it was, yes. Jose Benavidez Sr. was there because he trains Diego Pacheco now. And we were just all casually talking amongst ourselves, and they're talking about, if Benavidez wins and Andrade wins, the WBO and the WBC want them to fight, like a unified interim title fight. And like I said out loud, I said, that fight does nothing for me at all. I want to see David and Caleb. Those two hate each other. That fight, it is now or never, because one of them could take another, Caleb could take another loss. David could mess around and do something stupid. It should be now or never for that fight. If neither one of them are going to fight Canelo, I don't even care really about Charlo and Benavidez. I think that was just a lot of talk. I don't know if that's a fight that's ever going to happen.
I don't either.
Unless they have no other option. Caleb and Benavidez, there is deep-rooted hatred between those two.
Yes, very.
It's not fake, phony rivalry. Those two absolutely hate. Hate is a very strong word. Those two hate each other.
Really?
Hate. They cannot stand each other. They don't like being in each other's presence. That is a fight that needs to happen. Benavidez, like, he was in the same building as Canelo last week, and he was even asked, like, what are you going to do if you see him? He's like, I'll go up and shake his hand and tell him he's a great champion. That's not what you want to hear from the best two super middleweights in the world. So,
no.
Now, that's a great fight, mind you. It's still a fight I want to see, but for like nothing else at stake, because the belts are on hold, David Benavidez and Caleb Plant, that's the only super middleweight fight I want to see.
Man, that would be so delicious.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm gonna tell you what did it for me today, because like I know they hate each other in real time.
Yes.
But I don't like the fact that Caleb called David fat.
That
bothered me deeply.
Listen.
He called him fat. I was like, oh no, this is gonna go back. David be squeezing into that bad bitch weight is the struggle for him. So for him to stoop that low and call him fat, all the gloves is off. Y'all know that.
He clapped back right away too.
He did.
Yeah.
He did. you know, sometimes you can't tell whether it's, you know, it's a show or not, or, you know, sometimes these boxers really are good actors, and they put on a really good show as far as pumping the fight up and making sure we think it's bad blood. But I have to agree with you. I think they really have a deep disdain for each other. Yep. And to me, BOXIANA, it was completely solidified when he said fat boy. He came to me. When he said fat boy, I was like, oh.
Yeah. I was so shook. But this is what I don't want, because we all know David is talented as hell. It's not up for discussion. I don't want Caleb to get Canelo again. And David has potential to do him the same type of manner, like if he go on there and that bullshit. David, he aggressive. Y'all know David in your face like this all night. You move, he right there. That's heavy for Caleb.
That's the thing. Because they both have completely different styles.
Yes.
However, David stamina, you call him fat all you want, but for 12 rounds, he's in your face. He's right there. He's a Frankenstein. He's coming. He's not moving. And you're going to have to put something on him to make him stop coming. He has a motor like I've not seen in a long time. He's not doing a lot of fancy foot movement or anything like that. But his work rate is continuous throughout the fight. Mm-hmm. And if Caleb, which he has been known and prone to do, has any kind of mishap later on, because his stamina sometimes is questionable in the second half of fights, he's going to be food. He's going to be a delicious meal for David. And that, I like Caleb, but
and David like to eat.
Caleb, I'll make the fight. Yeah. Make the fight. I think that would be an awesome fight. Make the fight. First of all, he has to get past Lemieux.
Yep.
Let's not go,
He's going to knock him out in like 3.
Putting the horse before the carriage. But
are you giving him a chance, Lemieux a chance against David? No, I was about to say, now I know you're not going that far, ma'am.
No.
What's in that cup?
No, I'm not. I'm not going that far. No.
Speaking of fights, wait, I got one, because I forgot to ask you about this, y'all. I'm not gonna worry about her, but you, I got a question. What you think about Canelo versus Bivol? How you feel about that?
I like it's not my favorite fight. I understand why he took that deal. I know he really likes working with Eddie Hearn, so I get it. When Showtime upped their ante and the Zone was able to come up with a comparable offer, it seemed like we knew he was going to take that fight. I said, this is what I said in the beginning. If Canelo decided to go with the Showtime deal and fight Jamel Charlo, I feel the exact same way about that fight as I do about him moving up to fight Bivol. Him moving up is like the only really intriguing factor of that fight. Bivol is much bigger than him, but the fight itself, I don't know. It just doesn't do a lot for me.
Who's gonna win?
I think Canelo will win.
Oh, I figured you would say that. I just wanted you to say that for the people.
It's not a one-away fight. I think it's going to be like, I don't think he'll knock him out. I think it's going to be like a 7-5, 8-4 type of fight. But I don't think it's going to be all that exciting.
Why did he choose that fight?
He just, like I said, he likes, I don't think he chose the fight. He chose the packages. He's going to make 9 figures for, 2 fights, getting to work with, the Zone, going back to the Zone, going back with Eddie. It's about money. He could say it's about legacy, but it's just about making a shitload of money.
Well, is it really about money? Because wasn't the PBC offering him like money? So it's really not about money. It's about opponents and
maybe trying to have a way.
Work smart.
You can't do that.
Work smart, not hard. If you got $100 million to fight 2 guys you are very confident you're going to beat versus $100 million versus 2 guys that maybe could beat you, what are you going to take?
Well, if you're King Canelo and you're all about the legacy and proving you're the best of the best and the king of the sport. Right. Wouldn't you want to shut the people, the naysayers like myself? Wouldn't you want to hush us up?
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I will say out of those 4 fights, that like I said earlier, out of those 4 fights, probably the only fight I really wanted to see was him and Benavidez. I thought a fight with him and Charlo was interesting, but to me, as far as like appeal, it's interchange. Charlo probably bring more fans, but yeah, as far as like Canelo's base, a fight with Bivol and Charlo was interchangeable to them. I'm not buying into that. The fight with Triple G is the most marketable fight in the sport. That I was done with that fight 2 years ago, and I'm still there. If it happens, it happens. If Triple G happens to lose to Murata next month, whatever. My life's gonna go on just fine. I don't really care about that third fight. That fight to me just feels like a money grab.
Now, Jake, let me ask you, because I'm sure you know way more about it than I do. He's fighting Bivol. But what is the verdict on Bivol even being available to fight? Like, are they still talking about he may or may not fight because, he's Russian and there was some, what's going on with that?
So that could have been another factor too. So if any other sanctioning body's title was at stake, the title status would have been in jeopardy. The WBA made a ruling. It doesn't quite affect their champions. But like Bivol can't go into the ring carrying the Russian flag. He can't have the Russian national anthem playing before the fight. And he can't really like make any references to Russia or the war. They won't announce him as from St. Petersburg, Russia. They'll just announce him as Dmitry Bivol. So, but again, he's getting paid for this fight. He wants the fight. So those are terms that, WBA fighters, I don't completely agree with that. I don't agree with banning fighters either though. I feel like, short of like Povetkin, saying, yes, I'm in favor of the war. Like, I don't feel like any sanctioned body has the right to, tell a fighter, well, you can't fight. To me, that's just too discriminatory. Like, why is it gotta be you can't fight because you're Russian when he's lived in Montreal since he's turned pro?
Right.
He's not Putin. He didn't start the war. He's just from there. Why would you penalize him for that? And my thing is, this is me. This is my thought process. Canelo knew this. He knew all of that. That's why he chose him.
Exactly.
This is why we are always having an argument about different things, because I feel like all the time that you just be picking at Canelo for whatever odd reason that you do. And everybody wants to be a part of the Canelo sweepstakes. Everybody wants the bag. What did Canelo say? Payday. Everybody wants a payday.
Canelo wants a payday, so he can hush up with all of that. They all want a payday.
Starting to hurt, friend. You're giving me COVID.
I'm sick of him. He knows what he's doing. Canelo knows exactly what he's doing, and I can see through all that Maybelline. I can see through it. I can see through all of it. Yeah. Mess around. He gonna pick the wrong somebody. He gonna pick a hot pepper one day. He gonna pick a good hot pepper one day, and it's gonna
Canelo is unbeatable at this time. Canelo is unbeatable at this time. Now nobody can get in the ring and beat him at this time. Okay. It's open. It's open and closed, friend. It's done. Jay, all right. I got a question. Okay. Are you giving Murata a chance against Triple G? Are you a friend? Are y'all giving him a chance?
Yes, I do. The only reason why, Gennady Golovkin is 40 years old. He has not fought in December 2020, I want to say is the last time he fought. He's fought one real fighter since the second fight with Canelo, and he arguably lost that fight against Sergey Derevyanchenko. Steve Rolls and Kamil Szeremeta is not going to get you to where you need to go in this, even in a weak middleweight division. I don't think a lot of Murata. He hasn't fought in a long time either, but I don't believe Gennady Golovkin is the fighter that he once was, even going into the first fight with Canelo.
Is that all you got? Okay. All right. Okay.
But we've seen a lot of crazy upsets since the pandemic. So Gennady Golovkin losing absolutely would not shock me at all.
So, okay, if he loses, what kind of thorn does that put in his deal with Bivol and Triple G? So then what?
At somebody. How do you sell Canelo and Rio to Murata?
Okay, can you sell Andrade?
I mean, those mandatories are going to have to step up and say, okay, well, you know, if hypothetically Gennady Golovkin loses, then all those guys waiting for a shot at that title. Like if Demetrius Andrade beats Zach Parker and decides to stay at 168, he should absolutely be screaming that for that fight, especially if Benavidez is going to fight, say, Caleb Plant or really anyone else, because I don't think he's going to fight Demetrius Andrade next. But that would be the perfect opportunity for Andrade or Zach Parker to scream, Canelo owes me a fight next. The WBO mandatory has not been made in a very, very, very long time. That one is due next. Canelo would have no excuse. And really, honestly, even if Triple G wins and Canelo beats him, and he's talking about a third fight in December 2022 or whatever, that has to be against Andrade or Parker.
My vote is Andrade.
Yep.
My vote is Andrade.
Yeah.
You know, they've been defecating on him for quite some time now. And I'm over it. You know, I'm over the defecation of Boo Boo Andrade. I know that's his nickname and whatnot, but I think they should stop it and give this man a meaningful fight.
Yeah.
I'm ready to see Demetrius. I'm going to call him Demetrius. I'm ready to see Demetrius fight a meaningful fight. I am. So, okay, friend, is there anything else that you have? There's one more topic that I wanted to touch on. You know, it's Friday. We don't want to keep the people long. It's, I mean, I'm here in Houston and the wind is whipping outside my window like crazy right now. I don't know what's going on. Mother Nature's a little bipolar, but you know.
Let me tell you what's going on my way though.
What's going on?
Today, the gas went up 30 cents. The temperature dropped 40 degrees.
Oh yeah, it's cold.
It was 65 degrees this afternoon. I walked my dogs. It is now snowing outside.
Snowing.
Yes.
Oh gosh. Hell no. I'll pack my whole house up right now.
Yep. And gas went up from 409 to 439. All in the span of the day. So.
Well, I'll take my wind and sit down then. I'll take my wind and sit down.
And it's gonna be 22 tomorrow. So.
Oh, you're used to it, East Coaster. It's nothing for you.
I don't like it though. We never like it. We can be used to it all we want. We don't like it.
Move to Austin. It rarely snows there.
That's gonna be easy.
It's always warm there.
No,
get ready for that heat though. Woo.
Yeah.
Okay, so listen, one last thing, and then we'll let you guys go tonight. There was an interesting presser. I'm not sure if this was last week or early this week, but we are getting ready for Valdez and Stevenson.
Yeah.
Very interesting presser. Very different from the presser that he had with one Mr. Hearing. Mm-hmm. Now, I've heard a couple of different takes on this, and so I'm going to choose to believe in the more positive is what I'm going to do. BOXIANA, I don't know how you think it, but I'm going to take it as Mr. Shakur is maturing and growing up and, you know, letting go of some of the more childish antics that, you know, he used to partake in, particularly with Mr. Herring when he was about to fight him.
Yeah. He
seemed like much more respectable young man. You know, he had a nervous grin on his face the entire time, but I think that's just a nervous thing. There's a lot of people that have a nervous grin or, you know, when they're uncomfortable, they smile and shit. He does that a lot. You know, he has a great smile, sweet face, killer in the ring. So it can be deceiving for folks who don't know. But, you know, there was no touching of the belt. You know, he didn't grab Valdez's belt. Right. It's very, you know, professional. BOXIANA, how'd you feel about that?
Think it's a bunch of bullshit, and I'm gonna continue to keep saying it. I take my friends from Twitter very serious. Jake is my friend from Twitter, so I defend Jake at all costs. I'll get in your ass behind Jake. I feel the same way about Jamel. The shit that happened for that fight was fucking disrespectful, and he does not have that same energy for him. Calling him a cheater to me was not enough. Right. He better pop up on that man while he having dinner. What's happening, champ? Do him like did Jamel and give me some more energy. Because if you can give him a piece of that, and that man and his family have been friends to you, right? I'm gonna need you to keep that same. What's up happening, champ? Can I eat your steak? Just grab his food up off his plate and start biting it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want you to have that type of energy, the same one you have for Jamel. So I'm not giving him a pass. It is what it is. I feel like he's gonna win. I want him to beat him just because he beat the shit out of Brochette. He was on that shit. You can't tell me he beat the hell out of him and he was Juicy J'd up. I'm sorry. I'll say it for the people. But he better Shannon Briggs him fast or I'm gonna have a problem. And until he Shannon Briggs him like he did Jamel,
right?
This energy is kept for me.
Yeah. Well, okay. There you have it. There you have. How'd you feel about the press conference, Jake?
I get what BOXIANA is saying. I'm going to say this: if Shakur is a changed man, then we owe Jen Herring a huge thank you.
Right.
That is that straight.
Yes, she did.
As a writer, I should not be friends with fighters, but I admit I am very close with Jamel. I am very close with Sean Porter. There's like a certain select few fighters I will go to the end of the earth for them. So, however wrong that is for a writer to do that, but I got annoyed by all that shit. I mean, just knowing how close they were in camp, and then Shakur tried to spin, we're not friends, we're just gym friends or whatever. It's just like Jamel kind of saw all this coming. I think that's even why he went to MTK in the first place. Like he realized, he was not the protected fighter in that situation. So, right. And Shakur kind of proved it. So, especially for all he's had to say about Valdez, it can't just be, you're a cheater. It's like. I don't know. It's just I'm going to want to see more out of this promotion because we kind of need more. That's all he's really done so far. I know Keith Heidick wrote a story yesterday, and Shakur he heard everything that Oscar had to say about why he tested positive, and Shakur doesn't believe it. But that can't be his only angle. This is like the most significant fight in this division since I want to say since Pacquiao and Marquez. Way back in 2008, their second fight. So, I mean, there's a lot of history behind this fight, too. So I don't want to just keep hearing, the cheating angle, because that even got old in the Canelo and Caleb Plant build-up.
Right.
Like, Caleb, kept using that to try to make that fight personal. And then all of a sudden, they hugged it out in the end. And we saw
right. I'm a pretty good fighter, don't you think?
Yeah,
in the ring. Oh, my God.
That's because Canelo was beating the shit out of his ass.
Right. Yeah. Now, Caleb, like I said, I know he wanted that fight all along, but I think he kind of talked himself into making it personal. Like, I don't want to see that I don't want to see any phoniness with Shakur and Oscar Valdez. There should be a natural, disdain for one another.
It should be.
Straight up hate, but yeah, Shakur's accused him of a lot of shit. So, keep running with it. So, I mean, like Sonny Edwards is out there tweeting every single day. Everyone in everyone else's gym is a fucking cheater. So go with that energy. There's nothing wrong with it.
It's nothing wrong with it because that is warranted. It's a legitimate question to have. Yeah. It's one you should smear every chance you get. It's one you should call out every chance you get. It's nothing manufactured. It's real shit that you can actually talk about. Yeah. So I want to say, I really want to believe. I don't know if the baby's here yet or not, but he's had some life-changing events. Maybe he's seeing the world a little differently. I don't know.
She here.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good. Maybe that's helped him mature. I don't know. But at this point, fight is made. All shit and trash talking should commence.
Yeah.
You have no love lost with this man.
Right.
I mean, you should be gloves off, going at the throat. Where is that?
Yeah,
I'm just wondering, is it just me?
Right. No, I'm with you on that. So I was ringside. Like I know it was the last fight behind closed doors for Top Rank when Valdez fought Miguel Burchell. Mm-hmm. So all that was there was the fighters and the Top Rank staff or whatever. Like the fighters pretty much made like the audience. But Shakur was there with that.
Yes, he was.
He wanted to fight Burchell. And that's all he talked about after that fight. Like he even asked Oscar Valdez, when are we going to fight? I felt like it was more personal then than it is now.
Right.
And that kind of annoys. So I don't know, again, like going earlier about, being professional. I don't know if Jay Prince sat him down and said, well, this is what you're going to do. You're going to behave this way up until the fight. I'm not here for that, though.
I'm not here for any of that, especially
this is Shakur's moment to become a superstar. If he beats Oscar Valdez, he's a pound-for-pound fighter. He has a chance to become the next boxing superstar.
Exactly.
This is the moment to shine before and after the fight.
Before and after is exactly right. Before and after. So with that, with all of this that we are all feeling, so we're all in agreement that we feel the energy difference here.
Yeah, absolutely.
We feel the energy difference here. Is that because the competition, is he realizing that, this competition is different? Or I don't know. I just want to know what the energy difference is. That why do we have this difference of an energy with him? Because I can't believe it. Really, honestly, I can't believe it. I remember him being in the audience for the Burchell fight. I remember all of that. Yep. And he was very, he's always been very animated and rah-rah, and he, speaks how he speaks about wanting this fight. And just when it's made, it's finally made, it's here. You can talk all the good shit you want to talk right now. You've inked the deal. Yep. What's the problem?
Right. I'm with you. I want to see it. So hopefully more of it comes as the fight gets closer. But
go ahead, BOXIANA. I see you.
Y'all ain't gonna say it, but I will. He's really humble because he know with that other opportunity, he felt knew in his heart and his brain that he was gonna beat Jamel. He knew in his heart and his soul he was gonna beat Jamel. He has to be humble on this because if he lose, he gonna be crying like the Olympics again, and Jake gonna have a story. I'm gonna read the story. I'm gonna tweet parts of the story, but there's gonna be a story.
Yeah.
So that's my question. Are you not as confident? Is that why we're seeing such the subdued personality? Are you not as confident as you were before?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question, but I'm going to go back to, again, what I experienced up close and personal last year. He was very confident. Like, he was all up in Oscar's face after the fight. He congratulated him. Then he said, when are we going to fight for this belt? Asking everyone at Top Rank, when am I going to get this fight with Oscar Valdez? I even asked him about Jamel, and with Bomac there, he's like, I forget exactly how he said it with Jamel, but his main point was, I want to fight Oscar Valdez next. He's like, that guy, they're saying he's the best in the division. That's who I want to fight next. I don't want to fight anybody else. He told Bob that. He wouldn't let Bob Arum leave, 90-year-old Bob Arum, trying to go home at 10 o'clock at night or whatever. I want to fight Oscar Valdez night. When are we going to fight? When are we going to fight? So he was that number one guy. He had a much worse performance in his next fight against Robeson Conceição, which a lot of people said he lost. I thought it could have went either way. I didn't have a problem with the decision as much as the fight actually happening. But I mean, if you believed in February 2021 that you were going to beat this guy, and then you saw a worse performance, why wouldn't you be even more confident now?
Exactly.
You should have that same energy that you had for Jamel.
Exactly.
That same belief that you're going to whoop him. And I do believe Shakur thinks he's going to beat him. So I'm not saying, he's not arrogant. That he has that right to be confident because he is that damn good.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I hope we see a really good fight. I love the face-off. Oscar looks the part. I don't know if Juicy J is going to be Juicy J. I don't know. Let me just ask you a question. How does that work that somebody's A sample and B sample is found contaminated and there are no repercussions whatsoever? Not a slap on the wrist, not a 6-month suspension, not a fine, not anything. How does that happen?
That whole thing just completely I like Oscar Valdez a lot. I like his camp a lot. Frank Espinosa, they've always been very good to me, but that just the way that the whole thing was handled, it defeated the purpose of having drug testing. Because their whole argument is like, well, the commission doesn't honor VADA drug testing. Why are you paying for it then? It's not cheap. I think it's like $30,000 a fight. So why spend all that extra money if you're just going to say, oh, well, this guy tested for that. Fuck it. We're just going to WADA now. It doesn't make any sense.
Did you say 30 grand?
Some fights, they've gone like as far as 30 grand for both fighters for extensive testing.
For 30 grand, they could come test me and I could come test for them. For 30 grand.
Listen, they can fly me out.
Yep.
They can fly me out.
It's not cheap.
And it'll be warm and believable. Yeah, that's what they could do for me.
Yeah, 30 grand?
Yeah.
I did not know they were like, okay, well then now you make me want to ask a question like, how much are sanctioning fees for these belts? Do you know like a roundabout?
So usually when it's one belt, it's 3%. And then like when there's more belts, they're supposed to come at a discount, but that has to be negotiated though. Like I think Keith just reported like Josh Taylor just paid like 11% in sanctioning fees for all 4 belts.
You got me fucked up.
Which he should have lost.
Take.
Yeah. It's crazy though that these guys just hold on to the belts that way though and just throwing away free money like that. Yeah.
Fuck, I'd get rid of them goddamn belts as soon as I could. As soon as I could. 11%?
Yeah, that's outrageous. Yeah.
Well, it's so ass backward to me that you're paying them for their belt.
Yeah, you're giving them the power.
Yeah, that
Yeah, it's nuts.
Very, very interesting.
Tank is smart.
Yeah. The only thing I do hate about Valdez Stevenson is that I won't be there. That's the only thing that
Why? How are you missing it?
I'll be in New York covering Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano. So. So that's the trade-off.
That's historic, though. That is historic, though. That is historic. Hate that for you, Jake. But
but there are 2 undisputed fights on that card. Franchon Cruz is fighting as well. So she's
okay. Glad you said that. Who you got? I
roll with Franchon all day. So we're talking about Sean Porter and Jamel. Franchon is on that very short list of fighters.
Okay. Very good. Who you got, Amanda or Katie Taylor?
I know. I kind of got to side with Katie. So.
I'm
sorry, with Amanda. So I spit that out wrong. I got to side with Amanda. Katie, I think we've seen the best of her.
Okay.
I think she stayed at the amateurs. I think she should have left the amateurs after 2012. She made her mark. She was responsible for women's boxing in the amateurs. Go on to the pros at that point. So I think we'll see the best of both of them because they're both getting paid such not ridiculous, but good, great
for women,
money.
yes.
For that, like they both deserve it. So they're gonna have like top-notch training camp. They're both fitness fanatics. So I do think we're gonna see a great fight, the best version of both. I just think Amanda just has more in the tank than Katie does at this point. So I think Katie is going to win a decision, possibly even stop it late.
So you know what though? This is what I have been thinking. The last few fights that I've seen of Amanda, and I love her. Mm-hmm. For some reason, I feel like, and it just may be me, I don't know. Yeah. I feel like Amanda's, how long has she been fighting?
I think 12 years, 13 years.
I feel like she's getting old. I feel like I'm watching her get old in the ring.
Gotcha. She is like the last fighter from that, like, because you look at like Katie, you look at Claressa Shields, like they all came up like, how men, traditionally come up in the sport. They went through a proper amateur system.
Right.
Of course, Claressa's a 2-time Olympic gold medalist. Mm-hmm. So they had that pedigree. Then when they entered the pros, they were able to dominate. Amanda was like, learn on the job. And then, she had a little bit of an amateur career.
Yeah.
It was like the last of that old guard that's still outlasting the new guard. So
yeah,
I was just saying, like her last 2 fights, I know they went the distance. Maybe the power is not quite what it was, but her engine is, her
engine is ridiculous.
60 punches in the last fight.
Yeah.
20 minutes. That's nuts.
Yeah, it is. It is. That concerns me though, because as much punishment as she dishes out, mm-hmm. She's not getting hit like flush and a lot, but she's getting hit though, right. And so I that concerns me. I still am picking her against Katie, but I'm thinking Amanda's probably on the back end of.
That's fair to say, yeah. Like everyone, they have their peak. She's not like at her optimal prime.
Yeah.
Like on the other side of her prime, but still like the last of her prime, I guess.
Right.
This could be very well like her last great moment before, maybe she gets to that part of the career.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
But at least she's doing it now where people know who she is, though. That's the thing. Like
that's the crazy part. People are just now starting to really know who she is, and I hate that for her. I hate that because people are not seeing her in her prime.
Right.
So shit happens though. Anyway, Jake, BOXIANA, do you have anything else for Jake?
Yeah, I had one more, but we can.
Go ahead. No. Ask them.
Okay. I'm asking
one last question.
This is it. Well, it's gonna be a run together question. Okay. Virgil is fighting next weekend too. Mm-hmm. And he called out Bud. He called out Arrow this past week, and the rumblings of Boots fighting Arrow and Bud are in the rumblings too as well. So I just have a question. Who do y'all see beating Bud or Arrow out of those two? Virgil or Boots?
Boots is the nicer fighter. I like Virgil a lot. I think Virgil is kind of underrated in the sense that people just think he's a puncher and doesn't have a lot of other skills. I think he kind of is underappreciated. I don't know if he's there yet, though, to beat. I'm going to say he's not there yet to beat Arrow. I think, and he always said, too, that when they fight, it's probably going to be at 154. They're both going to outgrow welterweight, and it's going to be a much bigger fight at 154. And I agree with him with that because he'll be at his prime. And then Arrow, we just, he's made an amazing, recovery from his accident, but we still don't know if we're ever going to see truly the best of Errol Spence ever again. I think where he is now And the fact everything he's gone through in this training camp, all the adjustments he's made, he should beat Yordenis Ugas. But I don't know if he's still going to be fresh enough to beat, a guy like Boots. I would pick Boots probably to beat every welterweight on the planet.
Ooh.
Maybe I'm overrating him. I mean, maybe we just haven't seen that competition. Maybe Custio Clayton shows something we haven't seen yet. But I think if you had to pick someone that would run the tables at welterweight, Boots would be the one that I have the most confidence in.
Ooh, that's a big statement, Jake.
I agree with him.
Oh, I know. Oh my God.
My bad. I agree with him, though.
Oh, okay. I was waiting to get yelled at.
No. If anybody had to get any of them out of there, it's going to be Boots for sure. It's definitely going to be Boots.
Yeah. To me, I feel like Virgil's going to get to a point. I hope we get to see him and Terence Crawford, because now Virgil's with MTK too, so maybe that's a fight they could force. I've always gotten the sense that Virgil, not that he wants it, but he would wind up fighting for a vacant title at 147 and then move up to 154. And that's when we see him in all these super fights, especially if like Errol moves up and then Jamel moves up to 160, Jamal moves up to 168. I do believe, I have more confidence we'll see Virgil fight Errol Spence than I do in Errol Spence fighting Terence Crawford.
Yeah. Okay. Well, ask the question again, BOXIANA, because I want to make sure I answer it correctly.
Virgil called out, Errol this past week, and the rumblings of Boots versus Errol or Bud, who is going to be the first to beat one of those two? Is it going to be Boots or Virgil?
So I think that it's more likely Virgil gets a fight with Bud. And if that's the case, I think Virgil has a better opportunity, a better chance at beating Bud than Boots has of beating Spence. Yeah, I do. And the reason I say is because I like Bud. People may not think so, but I actually like Bud Crawford. But I think he's on the backside of his career as well. And I think Virgil is going to be here in his face, which is going to leave him open to some hard punches. And I would be very eager to see how he responds to those punches from Mr. Virgil Ortiz. Right. So if I have to choose one, I would think that Virgil stands a better chance of beating Bud to me than Boots stands a chance of beating Spence.
Yeah.
Did I answer the question?
Yeah, you did, because Carlo Boscovich knocked down Virgil and he got mad and put it on his ass. Yeah. So if Bud happens to hype, okay, all right, I can see that too, friend. Okay, I like that.
Also, too, to Nick's point, I could see Virgil actually fighting one of those two. Boots very well might not ever get
the chance.
Yeah, because Spence could win and decide, you know what, I'm done. I'm moving up to 154. Because even though Boots is going to be fighting for, a title eliminated, he could wind up fighting for a vacant title too. Yeah. So. Yep. And I'm going to be honest though, I'm not even sure who I pick if Boots and Ennis fought in the next 18 months. I mean, Boots and Virgil fought in the next 18 months.
You know what, Jake? I used to think hands down Boots, but if I'm really thinking about it, to me, I think Virgil has fought the stiffer competition. Than Boots. So that I don't, people don't really take that into account. That means something. The competition you face, I know they both are pretty much on the same level on the come up, but I think Virgil has slightly fought the better competition, the better opposition. And so I can't just, I would like to say, Boots is going to kick his ass. I would like to say that. But in all good faith and consciousness, and if I'm just being honest with myself, I can't say that. I just can't put that out there like that. I think it would be a phenomenal fight. I would love to see them fight at 147 and then again at 54 and then again at 60 if they have to. I think if they really they could, with them being basically on the same level coming up at the same time, they could submit themselves in this boxing game by being each other's arch enemy for the next 10 years. They could do that. They could really do and make a lot of money together. A lot of money. So I don't know if they listening. You know, your people know somebody that's, y'all need to really think about that. Behind the scenes, we don't have to know, but behind the scenes, that could be a tremendous career for both of them. You know, it really could, because we don't know until they get in the ring. We don't know until they get in the ring. I haven't seen Boots Ennis be tested like Hooker tested Virgil before he got him out of there, before his injury. I haven't seen that. I haven't seen him be tested like Kavaliauskas. Now that may just mean he's, you know, his opposition wasn't as good, or that's what I take it as. His opposition just wasn't as good, or it may just mean Boots is that good.
Right.
We don't know. That's what makes it so intriguing. I love it. I love it. I love it. Anyway, y'all, we could do this all night. We're not going to keep y'all on. Jake, thank you. Thank you so much for coming through. We
anytime. We've been talking about this for a while. So yeah, I'm so glad we could finally make it happen tonight.
Yes. Thank y'all all in the chat who came through, all of the participation. I see y'all over there chatting it up, getting it in and whatnot. We appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for coming through. BOXIANA, you got last words?
Yeah. Jake, you know, we love you. Thank you so much, because a lot of people are really shameful and shame, but like, you my dog. So I really appreciate you taking time out of your work day to come hang out with us. So you're welcome here anytime.
Thanks. Yeah.
So now I'm going to go get on Twitter and tell everybody that Jake was over here with black folks hanging out.
Thank y'all so much. BOXIANA, we will see you on Sunday with myself on the Fight Party. And we will be right back here next Friday doing our Thug Thizzle with this boxing talk. Hopefully we'll have another special guest, but nobody as special as Jake. And we will see y'all next week. Thank you so much. We appreciate it, y'all. Bye.
Appreciate it.
Oh, make sure you click like, make sure you subscribe, share it. And next week, hopefully y'all will be able to super chat. Okay? Bye, y'all.